Greetings. Everybody say K-B-A-C. K-B-A-C. Yes, we welcome the King of Oyotunji, the King of the Ifa world in North America, to Atlanta, to the Shrine of the Black Madonna. He's already had a powerful day, and I understand putting out a powerful message at City Hall today at the reception, and we will continue as we celebrate the African Ball today, as well as the African Festival and workshops on tomorrow. At this time, we will have welcome, greetings, and opening prayer by Elder Oni. They say that prior to us getting here, they had already the libation as well as the welcome, greeting, and opening prayer has been done. So if you would, I would like to. Oh, that's good. Keep on like that. I would like to make a proclamation from the state of Georgia, and assisting with that would be Brother Jamoke. But what I would like to say to our Majesty, that I did have a chance to meet you. I'm the young lady that met you during Juneteenth celebration up on the mountains. I was one of the people that was sort of responsible trying to make the event be nice. But so I did get a chance to meet you, so I'm glad to see you again. I just got on different clothes. All right, so all right, Jamoke. All right. So this proclamation again, Representative Abel Thomas. I'll read the proclamation in its entirety. Recognizing and honoring His Royal Majesty Oba Adejube Adefumi II as the Speaker of the Cultural Festival at the Culture Center and for other purposes. Whereas His Royal Majesty Oba Adejube Adefumi II began his destiny on earth on December 21st, 1976, born the 14th of 22 children to His Royal Highness Oba Ifuntola Adefumi I, and the third of 5 children born to Iya Eshu Ogo Oyewole, and was raised in the kingdom of Oyotunji African Village. And whereas an extraordinary listener and attentive history student, the young king, under the teaching of his Baba, was entrenched in the traditions and cultures of his ancestors, the Yoruba people of southwestern Nigeria and Benin, and was rooted in the traditional lifestyle of Oyotunji African Village settlement in North America. And whereas King Adejube Adefumi II witnessed thousands of Africans in America that came to his Baba's kingdom in search of broadening their cultural awareness. And by the time of his graduation from the Yoruba Royal Academy, he was initiate of several sacred Egbes, or African societies, including Egbe Egungun, Egbe Obatala, Egbe Onilu Ayan, Egbe Akinkanju, and the Society of Fathers of Mysteries of the Worship of Orunmila. And whereas, as a young man, he followed his first love of drumming into many performances nationally and internationally. And whereas in 2001 he moved to Key West, Florida as an artist in residency at the Lofton B. Sands African Bahamian Museum to design and construct the African exhibit of the museum, along with one other elder and many of his peers from Oyotunji. And he made many valuable contributions to the education and cultural expansion of the African American population in Key West through daily lectures and classes to students in Monroe County, Florida schools. And whereas King Adejube Adefumi II became the Olo Oyotunji of or King of Oyotunji, on July 3rd, 2005, thus continuing a legacy of Yoruba kings in America that has been confirmed and supported by the Oni of Ile Ife, or the king of the holy city of Ife, and thousands of Yoruba Americans came to celebrate the royal coronation. And whereas following the royal coronation, he traveled to the holy city of Ile Ife and was crowned by the Oni of Ife on November 16, 1981, just as his Baba did, and was invited to Ketu, the Republic of Benin, for extensive ceremonies of installations. And whereas Oba Adefumi II is married and as a traditional monarch has multiple wives and is the father of 2 sons and 2 daughters, and whereas His Majesty looks forward to following in the footsteps of his Baba to fulfill his Baba's vision for the kingdom of Oyotunji in its ultimate beauty, and to pass to the next generation the customs, traditions, and cultural lifestyle and skills in a way that serves the betterment of that world and its people. And whereas His Majesty continues to create ideas and inspire action, now therefore be it resolved that His Holy Royal Majesty Oba Adejube Adefumi II is recognized and honored as the speaker of the Cultural Festival at the Culture Center, 960 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, 30310, on September 13, 2013 p.m., 7 p.m. until 11 p.m., and extended best wishes for continued health and happiness. So resolved, this 12th day of September 2013. Abel Mabel Thomas, Representative, District 56, Georgia House of Representatives. Thank you.
In this time, we will bring forth Sister Atapoke Poka, or either that, or we should bring forth Brother Olatunji, because we have special guest acknowledgments and greetings, history class awards, and as we know, we'll move into our fellowship and entertainment. Let's give her a hand. I call her Matilda.
Hello everyone, greetings.
Greetings.
As we say in Yoruba, Ekale, Ekale,
Ekale.
Ashe, Ashe. Today, the Abba Oyetunji, who is also my brother, will have the opportunity to present to you a few words. And I've known the Abba all my life. He's my brother. He was here before I was here. So, to say, I say that to say that he has been, throughout all my years, a righteous, selfless person who served, and that's the role of Abba. The role of Abba is to serve the people. And since I've known him, he's been a part of the Dapwe, which is the men's work group. We get together collectively, actually do work. And when we say we're going to build, we actually build hammer and nails and 2x4s. And the Abba's been a part of that group. And he's taught his younger brother how to be a man in a lot of situations. And today he will share with us some knowledge, some of his knowledge of the Abba.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yoruba people often would say Eka Abba, which means welcome. We welcome you, and of course we welcome ourselves. My younger brother pushed it just a little bit. We're not righteous in the sense of the word, because we've always learned the more you're righteous you got to be, or the more righteous you are, the more you have to prove everyone wrong. And so we have always just been a student of things that make sense. We've always tried to be a student of things that make sense. And so here we are this evening. You have graced us with your presence this evening by being here. We've traveled not so far, but we're back at home again. I recall being in this building as a youngster with my father, who was good friends with the famous Imari brothers, Obadele and Abiodun. And I would always recall that they really sat down and talked for a long time every time we would come here. And he would speak with Abiodun for hours on end, and we would be restless in the car. And I said, you know what? When I get older, I'm just not going to talk. I'm not going to do all that talking stuff. And well, here we are. It's necessary. It's necessary to speak, to impart ideas and the like. Even though there is nothing, I'm sure, that I could impart to you this evening that hadn't been said to the African people in North America so far. We stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. Those ancestors such as Harriet Tubman, Carter G. Woodson, Booker T. Washington, Sojourner Truth, Mary McLeod Bethune, and of course our favorite is always Harriet Tubman, because Harriet Tubman made a profound statement, and she said one time that she could have saved many more people only if they knew they were slaves. And so it's always about the knowledge, and more knowledge. Knowledge of the present. However, knowledge of the past is necessary, but knowledge of the present give us those tools necessary to respond to the task at hand. So often we're asked to speak and give words of wisdom, and we often would like to remind people that we haven't any wisdom just yet. We are a student of wisdom, or wise freedom of thought. And so we find ourselves at functions just as this with our elders on the other side of the microphone, and a youngster trying to articulate our situation at hand. Okay, I was told I only have 10 minutes. So I'm trying to figure out what 10 minutes. One thing we can do at every to remind humans of their humanity, to remind us of those things that we were taught that we forgot. And it's clear we forgot them because as we travel around, we see signs that we've forgotten how to share, we've forgotten how to give, we've forgotten how to care, and we also have forgotten the arts, and the arts in our lives and in our communities, which is most necessary. It's necessary for us to have art in our communities because it is only through the art and the arts that ideas can live for eternity. And so we subscribed at some point to art and begin to surround ourselves with music, poems, drums, statues, art, and painting. We never knew where we got it from, but we knew that we were very uncomfortable in school, sitting there in a traditional school with a person in a chalkboard, and you watch the clock tick, tick, tock as a person tries to articulate numbers and words and things to you in the English language. Very dreadful position for young people to be in. Young people in many cultures have started out, their tenure in life is started in the arts. And so then we ask to ourselves, who is then teaching our children? What knowledge are they teaching our children? And we also have to examine what knowledge have we been taught. Once we arrive at the point and realize that most of the knowledge we've acquired in this hemisphere imparted by the institutionalized learning centers is wrong. It leads the human being in no direction that fulfills his destiny on the planet. While careers and jobs seem to be the destiny of man, nothing could be further from the truth. True destiny of man is, of course, to interact and to support with all of his super knowledge, his surroundings, and impact those that live next to us. It might seem just a bit far out, however, but we are connected to all of those systems. And we would hope that our people moving forward within the confines of our movement, we entail or we add just a little bit of that connection to the existence. Because we're but a shard of glass in the tapestry of existence, we're but a thread. And so realizing that, we realize then that we're not that important. The king then becomes insignificant, the queen becomes insignificant, the president, and all of those superstructures become insignificant once we realize the scope of existence and how we fit into it. Realizing that, and I think I've had a few wake-up calls. Got ran over by a truck one time, and it woke me up, and I said to myself, what is the point of living? I remember saying that to myself in the back of the ambulance. What was the point of living? And then I began to convulse and go into a seizure and life. However, that question wasn't asked. It wasn't answered from some divine source. It wasn't answered from a physical force. It just was never answered. And so we realized that if life was so important and life was all there ever was, then how could you lose your life if it's yours? You would be upset if you lost your life. And so we would hope that in the future that life is defined differently. We would hope in the future that money is defined differently. We would hope well, not necessarily defined differently, but defined based on its true value and its true essence. Education should be defined differently. Oftentimes we hear people say, you need an education to survive in this world. Well, we know many of the people in this world have education, and most of them, a lot of them are dying or dead. Many people have strong religion and are dead and dying. And so then we have to ask them, what are the sources? What is the meaning of the life that we all live? Is it to be shared amongst other humans? I don't know. We're searching for that answer just like we all are searching for that However, we would see it best that our existence is spent alongside like minds, creating, building, and utilizing the arts as a means of expression, rather than war as a means of expression, rather than abject poverty as a means of expression. Then we humans have to redefine what education is and how education begins. We speak of a better world and a better planet and all these sorts of things. However, we educated in the same fashion. We're taught not to solve problems. We're taught to talk about problems and reiterate problems. We're not taught to solve problems, because you cannot solve problems if we are not taught how to solve problems. And so all of these sorts of things begin early in life. And so the salvation of the future and the salvation of future generations is, of course, in the hands of the young people. However, the young people are going to learn the foolishness of the adults once again. They're going to learn that families are not made to stick together. Or case in point, there are more systems out there in this American patriarchal system to keep families apart than to keep them together. And so that's something in itself, because we're talking about African people here who have lost that idea of family and that sense of family twice since we've been in this existence in North America. Once from the forced migrations, and of course we lost it again once we all decided to move north and separate and disband the families. And so we have to define that. We have to redefine that. Because I believe today a family is considered a husband and wife and a child, when in actuality a family is a group of people who have the same bloodline, who are extended relatives. And so if I go to marry today, I'm not starting my own family, I am adding to the family that has already existed. And that is the idea based on our ancestral culture. And so it leads us to say that the culture of a people is generally their salvation, because within the confines of the culture of a people, you have that foundation in which to live off of today, and that foundation to build off of in the future. And so the culture of the African people, of course, is going to supply us with those foundations necessary to begin to have these high esoteric modes of thinking, to begin to think way out of the box. But before we go out of the box, we have to sort of kind of have a foundation, I guess, with a box to sit on before we can get out of it. And so we at the Oyotunji African Village continue to build off of the legacy of our ancestors. Our forebearers, forefathers, and mothers saw to it that there was a foundation set for us to build off of. It wasn't the greatest foundation, and it could have been better and it could have been worse. However, African people in this country have been never left so much. We've been never really have been left a full cultural